right. Hey, we're the Greg and Donny News Show. I'm Donny, just your typical centrist, moderate, down the middle.
Oh, don't be ridiculous.
No, I'm very liberal.
He's the liberal. He's the progressive. He's the socialist. I am your slightly conservative, occasionally more direct former host of the morning show on WBY, and now co-host of the Greg and Donny News Show. And we're here to talk about a bunch of things this morning because I have an entire large sheet of paper. You know, it's interesting, Donny, but trying to figure out what to do for the week's news. And if you take a look at our Facebook page, the Greg and Donny Facebook page, you will see that each of us are contributing several articles over the course of the week. And I think it's kind of working out nicely that what we put there are the things that we're going to talk about here. And so if people want a preview for what's going on, all you have to do is take a look at the Greg and Donny Facebook page and also the Greg and Donny News Show YouTube page, and be able to see what's going on. We're here in the gazebo in Milton, and it's absolutely gorgeous here. It's warm, but not too warm. We've got boats going behind us. You'll see that's the Blackwater River, and you'll see a lot of things that are happening here. And the first thing that I want to talk about, Donny and I were talking about this a little bit off the air here. Today has been, actually this week has been really interesting for me because we lost two incredible people. We did. John McCain and Aretha Franklin. And I know I've talked about this before with the military, that we always talk about the military as fighting for freedom, which they do. And I don't want to take anything away from that. But I think in many ways Aretha Franklin did just as much for the cause of freedom and to advance our country as John McCain did. Two totally different ways. Right. And so if you have some initial impressions on that, I have a lot I want to say, so this is going to be interesting. Anyway, so you'll be able to catch us. We normally do a Facebook Live broadcast, but what you're going to be able to do is put your comments on our YouTube. We will get to them on the Greg and Donny Facebook page later today. So just initial impressions, either one of those two. What's on your mind?
Like you were saying, they both did a lot. I looked up to both of them, and their deaths were definitely devastating. And
I think we have a train going by.
We do.
We're out in the open here, so whatever happens, happens. You know, in fact, there is a train going by. That's American business, son. That's American commerce. That's freedom there running down that rail line. And it's a good thing they turned the bridge in the right direction, too. Yeah. So we might have to take a train break, but that's what's going on. This thing goes through about 5 every morning, and it wakes everybody up. You think they have a better schedule for people that have to sleep? So we take a train break. We'll be right back, as always, in just a little bit. What were the chances that we didn't have a train going right
as we start?
Right, we're trying to make a video. So what we're doing today is a little bit different. You can probably hear this over the train. We're going to try and cover one subject per video, make a whole series of videos. That way you can catch up and you'll know what's going on. And I was thinking of doing, like a friend of mine had a suggestion, we'll do like an outline and a table of contents. But it was just easier if we just do the one subject. So the one subject right now is
Aretha Franklin and John McCain.
And I was watching, you know, and conspicuously, the first thing I want to talk about, conspicuously absent from both funerals was the president.
Well, he wasn't invited to McCain's. In fact, he was told specifically not to attend.
Now think about that.
2 funerals and a royal wedding. Are you tired of winning yet?
You've been waiting all week to say that.
I've been waiting. You guys tired of winning yet?
But I think this is a major problem. I think that train's a major problem.
It is.
How long is this thing? All right, we check the train schedule before we record next time.
All right.
This is doing. But here's the problem. You know, Trump has been so isolated. You know, by the media, by the leftist media, by his own party in many cases, by John McCain. You know, before his death, he said, you know, I don't want the president there. Now, can you imagine if he said that? I don't want Obama at my funeral. You know, he would have been accused of racism and everything else like that.
When did Obama challenge his war record?
That's a good point. Yeah. Trump has a tendency to say whatever's on his mind, crazy though it be. Yeah. So if this thing doesn't shut off soon, I can stop and start us again. This is a long train. We'll be right with you, folks.
We will.
I don't want to start it again because it won't be the same.
Right.
You know. So we're dealing with it. Why don't I take this opportunity to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so that Petey, our producer, won't say, oh, Greg, I know what you forgot to do this morning. But I'll take this moment at this time so we don't get a bunch of rings while I'm here.
Later today, we'll probably discuss NAFTA, and this carries right into that.
Actually, that's interesting. I hadn't put that down on my thing. So let's go music. NAFTA, just trade agreements in general.
Right.
Wait, we're almost done. Wait. We can continue with the show now. So much nicer. All right. So, but think about this, and whether any sitting president not being invited to Aretha Franklin or any performer of her stature, and not being invited to a senator's funeral, and someone were he president at the time would have been commander-in-chief of McCain back in the earlier days. I don't understand this. It's interesting. Henry Kissinger was there. He's still around.
Why is he not in prison?
Well, that's an interesting segue. Tell me that. All right. Now that you mention it, why would you want Henry Kissinger in prison?
The guy's a war criminal.
Okay.
Pinochet, he sat back and allowed multiple genocides to happen.
Where?
East Pakistan, for example.
Okay. I know the Rwanda one with the Hutus and the Tutsis. But that wasn't just him. Congress didn't do anything either.
And at one point, he's quoted as saying, I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he essentially said, because him and Nixon were trying to make deals with the Soviet Union, that if they were to start doing things like the Nazis did, like if they had another Holocaust on their hand, it would be our responsibility to just sit back and let it happen because it benefited us to trade with them. I mean, this guy...
That's horrible. Now, I'm not kidding. I'm not a Henry Kissinger fan. I don't want to try and defend him. I actually met him once at a hotel in Boston. It was a similar situation to this, where a friend of mine, we were sort of making a student movie for college. I was in high school, and my friend Charlie was in college. He was making a movie. He was pretending to be like, secret agent man around Boston. And because he's in a three-piece suit, Henry Kissinger walks up. So we set up our cameras like we're news people, right? And so Charlie just walks right up, shakes Kissinger's hand and says, "I want you to smile for the camera," because we were the only reporters there, right? Smile for the camera. So we got Henry Kissinger. "Oh, how you doing? Nice to see you. Very much." He keeps his German accent, even though, and that was funny too to listen him get up there. He still got the German accent, right? So here he's the film. "Yes, I want to celebrate the life of John McCain." It was almost like an Arnold kind of thing, but it was very interesting. But yeah, I don't have any. The only respect for Kissinger, A, he's still alive. B, he was there at Vietnam, so he knows a lot of things. He's got a sense of history. He was there, I think. Now we're going to try some Wi-Fi. We're going to rethink our position. We need a studio. We're going to work on a studio. But I think I think Kissinger was there because one of the turning points in John McCain's life was when he was a prisoner in the Hanoi Hills. And Kissinger, I think, is the only person from Vietnam who's still alive. So that's why I think he was there. Now, does that justify him in making a speech? Well, it was boring. It wasn't really relevant. But I think that's what he had there. There was the best speech, by far, and I swear Meghan McCain's going to run for office one day. She's going to be asked to run for office. Her speech, her tribute for her father was unbelievable.
Took a jab at Donald Trump there.
She did. A lot of people did.
Oh, yeah.
And that goes back to our original thing of the president not being there. I'd never seen any president have such disrespect from his own party, from the opposing party, from the media, from everybody who's doing as good a job as he's doing. Now, we can disagree on that. We probably will. But the point is, any president, if this is the precedent we're going to set for all future presidents, that they can be spied on, that they can be totally called traitors and Nazis and everything else in the media, and it's okay. We've got a problem because there's going to be a Democrat president one day, and what's basically, if this is the standard that we're going to go by, the next Democrat, whether they're Black American or any other color, they're still fair game. And you're not going to get that minority status protection anymore because, like Obama had, because all of a sudden it's going to be, hey, you did this to Trump, therefore. It's like what's happening with the Supreme Court hearings. You did this to, who was that guy that you wanted in?
Merrick Garland.
Thank you very much. You did this to Merrick Garland, therefore we're going to do this okay. It's always going back and forth. You did this, so I'm going to do this. So you did this, so I'm going to do this. Something's going to happen. There's going to be a Democrat president not invited to a major funeral. And they, well, you didn't invite Trump. And we're setting a really bad precedent. Anyway.
But can you imagine what would happen if a Democrat made baseless claims against our intelligence agencies, was generally pro-Putin, and last but not least, basically said he doesn't think people who are prisoners of war are heroes?
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
There are some problems there, but
if you were that prisoner of war, would you invite him to your funeral?
It's a good question. I don't know. But if you want to talk about collusion, nobody colludes more than Hillary. Uranium One is still uninvestigated. I still think that Mueller's the cover-up for that, and there's some major problems here. But yeah, the insults are going back and forth, and But you know, for some reason, when we campaign, the things we say in a campaign, we try and put those aside once people are in office. And I think that has been lost in this thing, that a lot of things that Trump said in the campaign are coming back. Yeah, would you say everything smart? No. I actually thought he was a terrible debater. I'm surprised he did as well as he did in the debates.
Right.
Simply because, you know, I kept screaming at the TV, "You should have said this!" You know,
I was doing the same thing to Hillary.
Yeah, okay. Well, so they both have
terrible candidates.
Yeah, he wasn't a bad candidate. He was just a bad debater.
Right.
I mean, he sucked at that. But the idea, like you were saying before, you know, pro-Russian, pro-Putin. You know, there's growing evidence that Putin and or somebody in Russia, you know, dropped $145 million into the Clinton Foundation for 20% of our uranium. That is still out there.
Yeah.
Okay, that hasn't been resolved yet. But anyway,
you know, we were talking Kissinger earlier, and I think when the Democratic nominee sought the endorsement of Henry Kissinger and just went out of her way to be like, "Oh, Kissinger's my best friend," that's when we lost.
You're talking Hillary?
Yeah.
See, I didn't even know she did that. That's interesting. Now, see, if you looked at the funeral, it was fascinating. We were talking about the John McCain funeral. We'll get to Aretha Franklin. I'm not trying to shortchange her at all. But when you looked at the people that were there, it was the whole swamp. And so in a certain way it makes sense that Trump wasn't there, because he's almost the next generation of politicians. If you look at Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and Michelle Obama and Barack Obama and Lindsey Graham and Joe Lieberman and Joe Biden, and they're all Republicans and Democrats, and Chucky Schumer. It was the funniest thing in the world was to see Mitch McConnell, his wife Elaine Chao, who's the head of I think is it transportation? All right, and then you had Chuck Schumer next to him. He's got the sourest look on his face. He's miserable. And Obama almost fell asleep during there's a nice picture of Barack Obama just about to go to sleep during the funeral. It's really bad. And some cameras, they're looking for those gotcha moments, and it's really kind of funny to see. So funerals, like I said, with me, I got my own choice. You know, scatter my ashes out by the airport out here and melt them by the runway so I can watch. So my ashes can watch airplanes. You know, let the airplanes kind of scatter me. That's what I want. Do you know what you want? You're young.
I haven't been able to decide yet.
Okay.
I want my death to be as big of a grand spectacle as my life was.
I want a party.
Yeah.
Don't give me a funeral. Have a party. Come on down here to the
Celebrate my life.
gazebo. You know, get I don't know, some of my favorite California wine. Whatever, I'll figure it out. Some, you know, bring a Guinness. Whatever it is, but have a party. Celebrate people while they're here. You know, we have these grand celebrations for people once they're gone. It's too late then. Yeah. So whatever you want to say to somebody, say it to them. I said, and I didn't have the best family relations as those who know me know, but I did manage to say absolutely everything I wanted to say, and I had to write it down, 15-page letters, but I said everything I wanted to. And so I have no regrets that my folks have gone, because I said absolutely everything I could want with my kid. When she was growing up, I did everything that I wanted to do. So when she went on to college, I was like, okay, I'm done. This is really cool. I mean, I still regret it, you know, but it was just really nice to have everything. You've got to do that with people. You have to. So when you get to the funeral, it's like, it better be a party by then, because I already said everything I wanted to say. So that's it. So you got the swamp gathering, and then you've got, in fact, there were no Trump personnel. I think, no, there was, who's the chief of staff, the general?
John Kelly.
Not, he was there. But he might be old school too, you know. But it looked like a gathering of the old Washington, and what was missing was the new Washington. You didn't have Trump's chief of staff, and Kelly, I'm trying to think of her name, the other one I'm talking about, or Sarah Huckabee Sanders wasn't there. There was a lot. Same thing. It's just, you didn't see, not only did you not see the president, you didn't see any presidential personnel there. I found that fascinating. And I really think this is where we're going through a very interesting split now between old Washington and new Washington. I think Trump's causing that. You are living through a very historic period. Now,
it's interesting.
You may not see it, having seen as many boring administrations as I've seen. You know, when you go back to Obama, to Bush, to Clinton, to Bush, to Reagan, even Ronald Reagan talked a good game, but there's a lot of things that he didn't push through as a conservative. Trump has changed everything. Trump is the most revolutionary president of our time, I think, since John Kennedy. And so this is a transformational period. And it's interesting, we both have a space program, which is kind of interesting. All right, now you haven't seen the John McCain funeral, have you?
No, I didn't catch much of it.
Okay, it's going on right now. That's probably why. So I got here a little late for my own video, but that's why. But that's my impressions on that. Aretha Franklin. What do you think?
Honestly, didn't catch much of that either, but I've seen a lot of the memes that are coming out of it, particularly from Bill Clinton.
Yeah,
what is that guy doing?
All right, we should explain what's happening.
Yes.
You explain what's happening.
Okay, so Bill Clinton was just sitting there, and Ariana Grande walks by. I think everyone can agree this is a decently attractive woman, and Bill, who has a history,
she's stunningly beautiful.
Has
she's
it?
Really
Yeah.
good, but that's not the
has
point.
a history, has been in some trouble lately because of that history, and really should be laying low. Got caught staring her down. Biggest smile on his face.
It was next to Jesse Jackson.
Never
too.
seen him look at Hillary that way.
He was leering. He was leering like a shark to prey. I mean, it was downright sickening to watch.
We talk the real issues here.
We do. We're going to get right. Now, this is all over the internet. It's not just us.
Exactly.
Everybody's talking about this.
No, it
right
does
now.
need to be talked about.
But and in fact, that's the two things people are going to remember about Aretha Franklin's funeral. One, it was an amazing tribute to her, and we got to see some of America's best talent. I didn't catch all of it. I'm probably going to go back and see the video, but I did catch Stevie Wonder, and I did catch Gladys Knight. And so it's interesting because I haven't seen them for years.
Yeah.
And I would not have recognized them today, if I happened to see it, unless I knew who they were, I would not have recognized them right away. But it's fascinating, and they sang, they performed, they did what Aretha Franklin did. They didn't give long speeches. Now there may have been speeches earlier, I didn't see. I'll have to go back and check. But really, it was a celebration of her music through music.
Right.
And so there was a completely different contrast to the John McCain funeral. Okay, so John McCain, you had the National Cathedral, you had the National Choir, you had the military, and a whole lot of white people. I'll be honest, there was a whole lot of white people at John McCain's funeral. All right, Aretha Franklin, I think it was in Detroit, where she was. I don't remember the church, but I will have to look it up. But it was a whole lot of black people. It was just, I'm gonna be blunt, but this country would not be the same if it were not for the people that make it up.
Right.
And I mean that sincerely. I mean, and for the John McCains and the Aretha Franklins that have made our country great, each in completely different ways, we would not be who we are.
Exactly.
Without both people. And I hate to say both races because we're really trying to get away from that. But of all the people that make up this country, and I don't want to talk about illegal immigrants and things like that, that's not the point. But the point is we are richer for the gay people that are in this country, for the black people in this country, for the Native Americans who started this country.
Right.
And for all the people that are here. And I want to recognize that, but not dwell on the identity. You're not your skin color. Aretha Franklin is not a black person who sang. She was a singer. Okay, I don't care about anything else. But it was interesting to watch the two funerals. If you see them back to back, you see news clips like you've got this huge black crowd for Aretha Franklin and this huge white crowd for John McCain. I'm sorry, it was just I noticed these things, and it was fascinating to see. What do you think? Any comments on? Because you haven't seen the funerals yet.
I have not.
That's part of why I'm monopolizing this
right.
particular topic, because it's very interesting. And I want to talk about Aretha Franklin for a minute, because one of the thoughts that struck me this morning was she was alive before the Civil Rights movement and before the Civil Rights Act was passed. So she
very involved in it.
Yeah, and so she knew discrimination. But the point is, she still did what she did. She was a singer. And a lot of performers, even going back to the early 1900s, some of the original black performers who really broke ground in ways, and even, like Ricky Ricardo, Cuban, who broke ground, with the I Love Lucy show. Here we hated communist Cuba, but we love Ricky Ricardo. It's fascinating contrast. So when you know a person individually, it's easy to hate a group that you don't know. It's a lot tougher to hate an individual that you do.
Exactly.
And so it's very interesting. But I wonder how many people listen to Aretha Franklin's music, which was on radio, who didn't know she was black. All right, who that would have been an issue for at the time, being the 60s, 50s. I'm not sure when she started singing. And then to transform that to people who didn't know she was black and didn't care.
Right.
So from those who didn't know to the transformation we went as a nation to those who didn't care, I think it's a fascinating transition.
I mean, yeah, she's definitely someone who changed the nation for the better. She had to struggle a lot, definitely. In my opinion,
well, tell me, because I don't know her history that well.
But really wasn't an enlightened time back then.
Yeah.
So.
Well, it was its own time. Every time is its own time. 100 years from now, or even 50 years from now, when I'm not here and you are, you can look back and say, well, I remember this guy that sort of, brought me back to the 50s, because I'll talk through the decades that I know.
Yeah.
And then when you have your Donny, sitting next to you, some 19-year-old college kid, when you're in your 50s, and you can say, well, let me tell you about this guy that I knew, and this is how the torch is passed. This is how the generations work. This is a good thing. This is actually what we're doing, just to totally digress, which I am, is a fine tradition that goes back centuries of like mentor and I don't know what they call you. I guess I'm sort of thinking of myself in that way, and to a certain respect. Even though you're my equal co-host, I still see that there's some interesting. I think there are things I can pass on.
Right.
Okay. Just like I think there are things that Aretha Franklin passed on, that I think John McCain passed on. That I think there's a certain accomplishment and wisdom that you get with age, and hopefully you'll do something useful with it. That's what I'm trying to do here. But it was a very interesting time. The two funerals are completely different. People came from different times, different places, and I just want to say, I want to make that comment again, that Aretha Franklin, I think, did every bit as much for freedom as John McCain did, in a totally different way, of smashing the boundaries, of creating the understanding, and through music, which is transformational. If you just hear the music, you don't care who the person is, and what they look like. It doesn't matter. The things that don't matter, are they good? Are they a good singer? And so I think she's the first woman inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, if I remember that.
I believe she was.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, I think I've monopolized that enough, but we have two fascinating people. I know McCain causes controversy. I don't know I think Aretha Franklin probably caused her controversy too. Again, if you have comments on that, please feel free. But we're going to hold this here, and we're going to be back with another video in just a little bit. And so we're here in the gazebo in Milton. It is Saturday morning. It is Labor Day weekend. So I got a Labor Day show you're not going to believe. But we're going to have a little bit of fun here. So I want you to tune into the Greg and Donny News Show YouTube channel. Make sure you get a hold of that.
Make sure you subscribe.
We need subscribe. We have 1,000 subscribers. We can go live.
Exactly.
Live on YouTube. So that's the good thing. And the other thing is the Greg and Donny Facebook page. So the Greg and Donny News Show Facebook page is a thing to do. And we will be right back.